Welcome back to Seat Time. This is a full POV look at Test 5 from the 2025 Muddobbers Enduro. You can see we have our stacked row getting ready to go off, and bam, here we go. Rachel took a little bit to get moving. That's okay. You can see her jump on it quickly. I think she might have been doing that just to let the dust settle a tad bit, but you can see how quick she gets on it. All right, let's watch just for a second, and then I'll show you guys where I screw up. If you watched the full race recap, I talked a little bit about that section there. Now, in the long run, I felt like I was doing a really good job getting a pull from Rachel and was keeping up with her at a decent rate. In the long run, though, the 10 seconds I wasted there was definitely enough to be able to lose that pull. I tried to gain it back here in a second when it opens back up, but in the long run, that 10 seconds, her and Riley were gone. You can see that pro line that was developing there. And then, of course, we've got Brock Hepler out there getting ready to do some Enduro cam footage. It doesn't look like he followed me, unfortunately, anytime at this event, which would have been really cool. Now, I will say, when I see him on the trail, just in case he gets behind me, I can always feel a little bit of pep in my step. Of course, we want to try to look as good for the camera as we can, right, guys? I put this little tight, twisty section in the full race recap because I thought it was a cool section. What do you think? When I took that right-hand turn around that tree, I remembered that moment from the race because of my body English that I did. Not only did I turn and lean the bike, but I also moved my butt and my hips and my entire body off of the bike so that I could get under the tree a little bit tighter. And that was one of those moments where I said, man, that's how I need to ride through here more, because I stayed a little bit more on the balls of my feet and let my body and my bike separately move around the tree. I need to remember that more in the future so I can carry a little bit more speed in those tight, awkward tree turns. there were a lot of bridges like this that we ran under, and you had to remember that there were rocks always down at the bottom, so they were very different than a lot of the other terrain that you were riding because those rocks were loose. So it was interesting to kind of come in there, but just remember, stand up, lean back, drop the heels a little bit, try to keep the front end just a tad bit lighter. At this point, I could hear a bike coming up behind me, but I could also tell it didn't sound like they were right on me. So I was trying to be really conscious of listening for when that bike is going to be extremely close to me to try to find the right spot to get out of the way. I've been trying to get better at making sure I don't sit on the side of the trail and wait for a rider to pass me, but give them that right opportunity. Sometimes we're going to screw that up, but in the long run, at least that time, it looked like it worked out for Steven Piper. One of the club members mentioned when I posted the race recap that they shortened Test 5 on purpose to try to give some of the A racers a little bit of a break since they were about to go into Test 6, which was going to be another 8-mile long test section. And I have to say, I really appreciate that. I think it's also awesome that all classes rode 5 test sections today. I think it's cool that they get that chance to get a little bit more mileage under their belt, and in the long run that B racers can also get into Test 6 and enjoy some of that. But just look at those rolling hills, guys. Oh, such a great test section. though I'm not too bad at log crossings, that one came quick out of nowhere. You could see it great on the GoPro, but in real life, honestly, it was pretty dust covered, and I felt like I was about 10 feet in front of it, and it came up out of nowhere. So I just decided to go around it. In the long run, the height of it wasn't too bad, but just giving y'all some context is why I decided to go around it. I'm getting out of the way for Keaton there from road 23. He was on road 22 with me at Lead Belt, and he was riding great. He would always come past me right before Hunter Smith would. So now I'm like, okay, where's Hunter? As we started getting into this tighter, weavier section where it wasn't as tight of woods, but you could tell how quick the turns were, I was like, man, I might actually get through this section without getting passed by Hunter Smith. Well, unfortunately, I was wrong, and he is about to come past me, but it is cool to see that right after he passes me, it's the 1/10 of a mile left marker, so I did a pretty decent job. As we work our way towards the finish, it's great to point out that Jesse Santucci and Hans Neff were less than a second apart in this section. They were about 20 seconds faster than Ryan Moss and myself, and I happened to beat Ryan Moss by 0.8 of a second. So crazy close racing here for the 45A class. Again, if I hadn't wasted that 10 seconds in the creek, who knows? But it is what it is.